Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Non-Scripted Ramblings. I'm Kendall Richardson. Thanks so much for joining me, because I am very excited to get into this one. Today I will be sharing my thoughts on episode 8 of What If, which is appropriately titled What If Ultron Won. Oh man, I did not expect to get payoff from the ending of episode 7 so quickly at all. I did not expect that. It was kind of guessed, I suppose, that Ultron would be the big bad for season 1, or at least the big bad for now that gives all these characters the reason to come together. And we find that out at the end of the episode as well. But I didn't expect. I thought we were going to get one more episode of we kind of do. We get to find out his backstory, how he came to be, and it was so good. When What If is really good, it's really good, you guys. It's. Oh man, it has the potential to be just so awesome and so epic, and this episode really proved it so much. It's in the top 4. Brilliant. Potentially my second favorite episode. Maybe, I don't know. I'm giving up on trying to rank them now. Not that I was planning on trying to rank them, but I'm just kind of giving up on it, I think, because I just love them all too much. But my top 4, in no particular order: Doctor Strange, this episode, last week's episode, Party Thor, and T'Challa as Star-Lord. They're my 4 favourites so far from this season. But this episode was just, it was just great. And I feel bad if I'm admitting it, but I feel like, I don't know, parts of this were better than the Age of Ultron movie. I don't know. Maybe I'm being harsh when I say that. I don't know. Because it just felt more epic, If there was something about it that felt like Ultron felt so much more threatening, as this villain who has succeeded in achieving his goals, and he became an even bigger threat than Thanos, as it would turn out. Man, I lost my shit. I couldn't stop laughing. He just fucking slices him in half. I'm like, alright, okay. It's like the way that they kill Loki at the start of Infinity War to show how badass Thanos is. This is exactly like Thanos has gotten his comeuppance from that, because he's been used here to basically just show us, the audience, how much of a threat Ultron actually is by dispatching of Thanos so quickly. So I loved that quite a bit. And it was just, it was interesting. It was a bit it did kind of feel a little bit out of place for Thanos to rock up then and there, but I suppose they had to explain away that, how did Ultron acquire all the stones? Like we were theorizing last week, how did he get the Soul Stone? Did he go around and collect everything? And, this is our answer. No, he didn't. He just killed Thanos and took 5 of the stones and became a living gauntlet, essentially, which is fine. But, it's just the timeline's a bit confusing as to, maybe did it take Ultron, let's say, so the episode starts at the beginning, when we get to Natasha and Clint, and they're in a city wasteland being chased by his drones. It's following the events of Age of Ultron, so it looks like it's 2015, maybe 2016, I would say, judging by the length of Natasha's hair. And and then oh god, where was I going with that? Shit. Oh yeah, Thanos starts coming to wreak havoc on Earth in 2018. So 2-3 years later. So did it take Ultron that many years to destroy the entire galaxy or universe or whatever he ended up doing? I'd wager probably yes. I don't really think there you know, Thanos, this is the same universe, you know, in this universe also Thanos would have collected the stones sooner. I feel like everything outside of Earth played exactly the same, maybe. I don't know. That's just kind of how I read it. So I kind of feel like, yeah, it's yeah, we got a time jump. Oh wait, he didn't. Oh wait, no, I think I just need to strike and reverse everything I just said. Because he gets the stones and then he goes around destroying everything, doesn't he? Yeah. Yes, because that's what makes him realize there are other worlds for him to bring peace to. Yeah, okay, what am I even fucking on? Sorry. Okay, well, and take away that logic that I had, that was never logical. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess maybe he just got the stones sooner, I suppose. I don't know, especially because, you know, he would have been able to get the time stone pretty easy because Doctor Strange is clearly dead, and as is the Ancient One, so that's a tick. You know, and he would have been able to get the the Mind Stone was the last one, so that's why he showed up. He wanted to get the Mind Stones. Like, I have one more stone left. This is it. He sacrificed Gamora, clearly, get the Soul Stone. Went to the Collector to get the Ether, so there's that one done. And Xandar had the Power Stone, so that's the same. Except we see, actually, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we're wrong about that, because we see Ultron going to Xandar to destroy it, and it's not destroyed. Whereas Thanos got the Power Stone, and apparently he decimated Xandar, according to the Guardians of the Galaxy. So, oh no, according to Thor. My God, my brain is not on today. I am so sorry. According to Thor, he decimated Xandar. So, how did he get the Power Stone? Okay, all right. I'm creating questions. This is a conspiracy going on. I'm probably going too deep into how exactly did Thanos get all the stones then. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. There's a lot to think about. Maybe he did kill Loki and get the Tesseract. I don't know. Yeah. How many stones is that? Tesseract, Power Stone, Ether, Time Stone, Soul Stone. Yeah, that's it. Okay, cool. And the Mind Stone on Vision. Anyway, so now that I've spent 10 minutes talking about the Infinity Stones, yeah. That was just, I don't know, that was just very interesting. And maybe a convenient plot point, I suppose, for the writers. Just be like, okay, let's just have Thanos rock up with the stones, say. And and Vision just kills him and acquires the stones. But yeah, I really, just apart from that, I really just enjoyed this episode, and as an Elseworlds kind of episode was just really great. It was very sad though to see that everyone was dead pretty much except for Clint and Natasha. Like they were the only two remaining Avengers alive, and I part of me kind of likes that only for the fact that they survived by chance because they were up in a Quinjet at the time that all the bombs went off. But then the fact that, they weren't present for the fight meant that all the more powerful, the big ones, as Yelena calls them, they were all taken out. So it kind of makes the stakes even higher when you don't have Iron Man, when you don't have Thor, you don't have Hulk, you don't have Captain America. You have the only two, human people, the only two people, that are part of this team that don't have any extra special abilities apart from, the fact that Clint is the best archer in the world, clearly, and Natasha is, super, super skilled. So they can both handle themselves quite easily, and we see that in this episode, as we always see when we see them on screen. But it's just, it's a bit more of an uphill battle for the two of them than it would be for Thor or Cap. So I kind of like how that raises the stakes. So it's, but it's sad that everyone else is gone. Clint, for some reason, only has one arm. He's got a robot arm. That's cool. And what was the other thing? Did I note down something else about him? Yeah, invisibility cloak. He has an invisibility cloak. What was that? I mean, cool, fine. It was a badass sequence. Like, I really enjoyed this opening sequence between, you know, Natasha and Clint and all these Ultron drones flying around the ruins of New York, I think. And yeah, I just thought it was a great sequence. But yeah, then all of a sudden Clint has an invisibility cloak. I'm like, all right, Harry Potter, flex. Yeah, no explanation, but sure. Please comment below if that is a reference to something in the comics that I have missed, because it probably is. I am sorry. But regardless, it was badass, so I'm happy with it. What now? Yeah, and then I guess it's speaking to the sadness. It's like, you know, it's bad when the Watcher begins his opening narration by saying, you know, out of all of the universes that he's encountered and watched over the millennia he's existed, this one breaks his heart the most. He basically says, and I was just like, whoa, okay, we're in for some dark stuff. But, you know, the title gave that away, didn't it? What else should I say? Oh yeah, when Ultron gets all the stones and he starts going around to other worlds, like, that was the moment of the episode that really, my jaw was on the floor. Like, Thanos being killed like that made me laugh so much. But when Ultron decided to forge this ship using the reality stone, using the vibranium from the drones, I think is kind of what it was made out of, and then he starts just taking that across the galaxy, across the universe. Yeah, like, at first he went to Asgard, and then he literally did an Independence Day, so I was living for that reference. You know, he hovers over the palace and launches a beam that goes straight down, and then just everything explodes out from there. But watching him destroy Asgard, you know, I mean, that's always painful for me. But yeah, that was shocking. I was like, holy shit, okay, Asgard's gone. And then where else did he go? So after that, he went to the Sovereign and took out the Guardians of the Galaxy, because I'm guessing because of the timeline of this, I don't know, but from memory, I'm pretty sure Guardians Volume 2 takes place not too long after the events of number 1, which take place in 2014, so the timeline kind of lines up, I think, kind of close. It's pretty close. But anyway, regardless, they're on the Sovereign planet doing, you know, the opening credit scene from Guardians Volume 2. Yeah, and Ultron rocks up and wipes out the planet and kills them. Bye-bye. Yeah, and then he moves to Sakaar, and we see him take out the Gladiator Arena, and just the Grandmaster standing there in shock, just being like, okay, well, guess I'm dead now. He just kind of accepts his fate and just stands there as the blast hits him. Like, my jaw was just hanging on the floor. It's hanging on the floor. He takes out Ego, no problem. A fucking Celestial. Like, all right, okay, this is huge. And then he heads to Xandar. And then he starts, you know, attacking there. And but yeah, Captain Marvel happens to be in the neighborhood, which is great. And she tries to stop him. And we get a lovely fight between the two of them that kind of, you know, lets you believe that she's going to maybe be victorious. I didn't actually think she was. I like that they kind of gave you a glimmer of hope for a second, because I'm like, okay, she's literally punched him into the core of the planet. Like, that's some serious stuff. So surely, you know, he's gonna melt from the heat in the core somehow. I don't know. And then he, basically turned the tables and exploded the entire planet, killed everyone on Xandar, killed Captain Marvel, and then the shockwave caused all the planets in the nearby system to just explode completely. And I was just like, I was in disbelief. But it was so good. Like, just, it's gripping television. I was very, very happy to just see this sequence. And it was just, but then he was just like, I'm done. What do I do now? You know? And I think that's when I think that's when he starts to notice the Watcher is around, because the Watcher's like narrating him. I'm pretty sure that's when that happens. But yeah, I don't know, I guess I'll just keep talking about Ultron and the Watcher. But I really enjoyed that whole sequence with the two of them, you know. Similar to Doctor Strange Supreme from a few episodes ago, he's aware of the Watcher's existence and discovers that he's living inside this kind of, you know, prism dimension that lets him view all of the different universes, and Ultron finds a way into it, and the Watcher is super like shocked and surprised, like, how can this be happening? This is not possible. Like, he's seen so much over his lifetime and he's never seen anything like this happen. Like, it shouldn't be happening. He didn't predict it happening. Like, it's just, yeah, it's all crazy. But their fight was awesome. Like, some of the best animation from this entire series, easily. I was so impressed by it. It's so colourful. The animation was just beautiful. It really just... Again, I say it every time, I'm like, the animation in the show shines the most when when the fighting's going on, when the action scenes are happening. Like, it's just gorgeous. And I'll get to my favourite animation shot very shortly. But I loved this whole sequence. It was great in the way that, you know, they were punching each other through universes, like Ultron was just beating on him constantly. That was great. And we got a glimpse of... Wakandans, kind of, you know, because the place is supposed to be New York, apparently, so, you know, Wakanda is present in America, in one universe. There were Skrulls in another. There was another that Times Square kind of looked like Times Square, but Steve Rogers was being sworn in as the president, which was awesome. I really liked that, but yeah, it was just so well done and put together, and just epic. And seeing the Watcher get his own kind of armor, like, powering up, and, you know, and Ultron just being so arrogant with his dialogue. And then I loved the line where the Watcher says, you cannot compute the power of my will. Because Ultron's like, I think he says something like, you don't have the will to stop me. He's like, you can't compute the power of my will. I'm like, yeah, that's an awesome line. I like that. Yeah, badass. The entire thing was just badass. I loved it so much. But on the other side of this, we have the, you know, our heroes trying to find a way to stop Ultron. And Natasha and Hawkeye, Clint, they head to Russia because Nat believes that the answer could be hidden within the KGB's files. And I loved that Clint made a Raiders of the Lost Ark reference, because they walk into this massive warehouse and it's just row upon row upon row of boxes and files and crates and all this stuff, and they're just like, we have to go through it one by one. Like, oh my god, yeah. So crazy. And it was really interesting to see the Watcher wanting so badly to interfere and point him to the box, because he was like giving up right as he'd reached the answer, of course. And he came so close to just being like, it's there, but I thought he was really going to do it, but then he didn't. I was like, oh my god, but it worked out. So it turns out the file they needed was Arnim Zola, and they ended up heading to Siberia and to the Winter Soldier kind of base that's there, because apparently Zola ended up uploading another part of him, I suppose, to the computer there, so that was accessible. So that was really interesting to learn as well. And Natasha also happened to find Red Guardian's shield while they were at the KGB, so that was also pretty cool. Loved that shield. And seeing her wield it during the fight scenes was so cool. Like, I loved it. It was great. It was so good. But yeah, they end up convincing Zola to, you know, that, you know, what we're gonna do is, you know, you're gonna prefer it, trust me, you know, it's either that or we're literally gonna delete you, like, you know. Yeah, so basically that Zola has the power to erase Ultron, similar to the way Vision did in Age of Ultron, if I'm remembering that correctly as well. Or I think they were just... Vision, that's right. Vision got inside his mind and did the thing. Yes, it was him. I am remembering correctly for once. Yes, so they end up getting attacked by all the drones and are able to use one of those drones and put Zola into it so that way he can contact the hive mind. And that's when they find out that Ultron's not in the known universe, basically. He's nowhere. They have no idea where he is, but he still exists, clearly, because the drones are still alive. So it's like, oh, what the hell's going on? Because he's in the middle of his battle with the Watcher. It's very cool. Very interesting. Very well written. But the most heartbreaking part of this episode came along when, of course, we got a beautiful and emotional endgame parallel, where the drones are becoming too much for the two of them to handle, and they're in the same kind of silo as Steve and Tony and Bucky fought in Civil War, which was also a cool callback. And they get to the top, and it's things are coming close. Clint uses this he has this arrow that disperses this really cool shield that I really liked. That was awesome. And then Clint gives up. And I know the more I've thought about it in the days since I watched the episode, I kind of like it less. Only because, Natasha nobly sacrificed herself to save everybody, literally the entire universe. It doesn't come much higher than that. And Clint here, I suppose similarly, but the stakes weren't there for them in that moment. I think he just used the opportunity to, end his life in a way that would mean saving hers, because he was able to take out most of the drones with his final shot and give Natasha and Zola enough time to get away. So, which will then, of course, lead to them defeating Ultron later on. So I suppose it's the same thing, but it's just the fact that it was a statement of, I'm done fighting, it's over for me. I don't want to do this anymore. It was very depressing. I'm not trying to bring it down or say it's any less meaningful or anything, because it made me cry. I cried. It was emotional, because it was just, they're over a ledge, and he's holding on to her like he was holding on to her. The roles are reversed, from Endgame, and I was just really, I was tearing up, something shocking, watching it. It was a lot, but it was so beautifully done. And then, of course, my favourite shot of the episode was, and the one, it's when Clint's fallen down, he's turned around, and he's aiming his bow and arrow at the drones below, and we get this big wide shot that's kind of on a Dutch angle, sort of, a slow motion Clint falling down, the army of Ultron rising up, and just the colours of it, and just, I want it on my wall. It was so good. Oh my god. Oof. It was, as hands down, the best piece of animation this entire show has done. Easily for my money. That is beautiful artwork, if you ask me. So, I was floored. I was absolutely floored by it. What else should I talk about before I wrap up? Because I think I've pretty much covered everything, to be honest. I did forget to mention... what did I forget to mention? Oh yeah, the part where Ultron ate a galaxy. When he's fighting the Watcher. And there's this one part where the Watcher gets up, and then he looks up, and it's just a giant version of Ultron, and he just takes a bite into this galaxy and destroys it. I'm like, first off, how? How is he able to do that? I know he had the power of the Infinity Stones, and I suppose... if Thanos had the power to wipe out half the universe, I suppose Ultron had the power to make himself into a mega, mega giant man to eat everything. So that was... I guess that works. But it looked spectacular. amazing. It looked straight out of a comic like panel. Like it just looked so cool. So that moment was also like, whoa, okay, this is intense. And then I suppose the last thing, or two last things I'll mention. One, Ross Marquand was actually the voice of Ultron here. You know, I was very upset and sad. I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but you know, James Spader isn't in this. Yeah, I mean, it would have been so much better if it had been. I would have loved it so much more. It would have been a perfect episode, pretty much, if you'd had James Spader here. Oh my god. But thankfully, Marvel have a very talented actor by the name of Ross Marquand, who can do fantastic impressions of celebrities, as I have since found out. And he does his best James Spader here, his best Ultron impression, and in some scenes it sounds like Spader doing Ultron in certain scenes. Not overall, but in certain scenes it does. And it was good enough that it helped to sell what you were watching. And it also kind of helped that when we're hearing him do the voice, pretty much 90% of the time he looks like Vision. So it's slightly different. You can get away with it. So that was fine. But I still think his Red Skull impression is better than his Ultron impression. But that's still fine. It was fine. But yeah, the episode ends with the Watcher finally deciding to break his oath. Because I think basically he goes to Doctor Strange Supreme, who is still trapped in his very tiny universe, very tiny universe, and asks him for help. And I think the reason that is because he's the only, I don't know if he is the only, but before Ultron, he seems to have been the only being able to perceive the Watcher and notice his presence, because he had gained so much power, he was able to see the Watcher and communicate with him. So I imagine that's probably why Strange was his first port of call, because he's like, well, he's just sitting here doing nothing, and he's so powerful, he could give us a fighting chance. So and that's the beginning of, I think, the assemblage of these multiverse Avengers, I suppose, that are going to come together for episode 9 and defeat Ultron, maybe? Who knows? I think so. I think we'll get a happy ending here, but who knows what'll happen. I just love the fact that they're tying all these stories together. Like, I'm so glad they've decided to do that. Like, they can all be standalone, but they can also all be connected at the same time. I think that's brilliant. And that is Marvel's storytelling 101, isn't it? You know, that's comic book storytelling 101. That's how you do this. So I'm just, beyond impressed and cannot wait to see how it all ends very soon. Oh, okay. One more episode left of What If, guys. That's it from me. If I missed anything you want to know my thoughts on, please comment below. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe to Fred the Alien so you can see more of me rambling and raving about all things Marvel and MCU. I think that's pretty much it. You want to see all my other What If episodes, my reaction videos, they're all on the channel. Go listen to a podcast called Fred especially, but check out all the Fred the Alien Productions podcasts. I feature on them heavily. If you want to know my thoughts on other nerdy and pop culture related things, you can go find them on all your podcasting apps. We are there. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I've been a Kendall Richardson, and you've just experienced non-scripted rambling.